If you're looking for a C category crossover SUV kind of car, there is quite a lot to choose from. From basically every brand there is an offering. To make that choice even more complicated, there is now the CHR Plus from Toyota, the electric version of the CHR that we previously only knew as a hybrid version. My name is Peter, this is an Autofuel video. Welcome from Portugal, very sunny here, and the introduction of this new Toyota electric car. Of course, part of their rollout strategy for a whole range of electric vehicles across their whole model lineup. In this video, we're going to have a look at this CHR Plus, see what's what, see where it fits in the lineup, and see if it is worth your consideration. Here in the Portuguese sunshine, we have a look at the car first of all. It's a very recognizable Toyota design with this hammerhead design language. It's quite nice, quite recognizable, and they've gone through great lengths to make this car as aerodynamically efficient as possible. The car that you're looking at right now is the all-wheel drive top-of-the-line version that comes with 20-inch rims as standard, so that obviously has a negative impact on the range. But the middle version that we drove yesterday in a nice orange color has 18-inch wheels as standard, which gives you a lot more range. Maybe good to address the range right away. There is two battery packs, 57 and 77 kilowatt hours. There's two drivetrains, front-wheel drive only and all-wheel drive. This is the all-wheel drive with the big battery. And that is all you get for lineup. So that's good, nice and simple. This one is going to be very specific for people that either want to tow a lot or really need the all-wheel drive. The middle version, which is the front-wheel drive with the big battery, is going to be the big one because that gives you the best of everything, gives you the most range with over 600 WLTP range kilometers, gives you the most performance as well, and is all-round sort of the best selling package. They expect 20% for this one, 20% for the front-wheel drive with a small battery, and 60% for that middle of the road one with the big battery and the front-wheel drive. Now the charging port is here on the front left, which is the wrong spot. I prefer the charging port to be on the back left or right, but okay, it is here. And the charging speed is 11 kilowatts at home or 22 optionally, and 150 kilowatts of fast charging. Now 150 kilowatts of fast charging is not very fast on paper, but Toyota does make a point out of the fact that they have their charging curve really high for really long. So that means that you can charge the 77 kilowatt hour battery from 10 to 80% in under half an hour. So that's still very respectable and also very usable in the real world. And even though that the number on paper doesn't look very high, because they keep that curve steady and high up in the range for a long time, they can achieve good charging speeds. Let me know in the comments if you guys like this Toyota design. I think it's quite nice. It's a bit of an angular design that I wouldn't say it's a fully love or hate design, but it's a modern looking SUV, and it's nice to see that they follow the Toyota design language that we, for example, also see on the BZ4X. It's very recognizable as that kind of car. Here in the back, Toyota has worked really hard to keep the aero efficiency as high as possible, which is, for example, the reason for this spoiler layout, the split design. And what I really like is that the rear window is properly big. It's really large and it gives you a lot of extra light on the inside. Also gives you a lot of ability to see through the car from the inside. We have a big rear view mirror, and because the window is not so flat, it stands up a little bit more, you can actually see what's happening behind you, so that's good. What's missing though is a wiper. There's no wiper integrated here nor up here in the spoiler, which means you only have the aerodynamics of the car to rely on to get the droplets off your window. Now, I'm sure that works great on the highway when you're driving 100, but if you're going slow in town, standing in front of a traffic light, doing a roundabout, that kind of stuff, it doesn't work because there's no air pushing the water off, and then your window is full of droplets. So that is annoying, and I think they should have integrated a wiper somehow. It's not the prettiest element in terms of design, and it's aerodynamically a disaster as well, of course, but it is just more practical. Here in the back, the boot size is of course compromised. That is typical for the C-segment SUVs, crossovers. It is not as big as their bigger brothers, and it's a lot bigger than the compact cars. We got 420 liters of usable space here, which is more than plenty for everyday work. Also enough for a weekend away, but when you try to stow your whole ski holiday in here, it's going to become an issue. Before you lose your mind in the comments, yes, it is all technically possible to put your ski gear in here. I'm sure it is, but realistically speaking, this is not the car you're going to take your whole family on holiday with. For everyday use, let's say up to a weekend away, like I said, is more than fine. It's a nice big opening, so that is good, very practical to get stuff in and out. There's also a lot of height available in the boots, which is always nice for that extra bit of volume. A bit of space under the floor and quite the load lip to lift things over. So very usable, but nothing too crazy. If you put the rear seats down, you go well over 1,000 liters, and of course you get a lot more practicality that way, but for everyday use this is more than fine. As usual, a tour through the cockpit as well, and it is a very recognizable cockpit because last week I drove a BZ4X Toyota and it has basically exactly the same cockpit. I'm sure there's one or two buttons that are slightly different or in a slightly different vent position or something, but basically this is a one-on-one copy of that cockpit. And that is a good thing because the BZ4X had a very nice cockpit and it is no different here therefore. It's a very nice blend between analog and digital. So we have analog switches for the windows and the mirrors, we have analog switches on the steering wheel, we have analog switches here for the eco mode, traction control, driving direction and so on, and even analog switches on the screen for our temperature and our volume control. And then we have the big screen itself. The top 2/3 is for your navigation, your settings, your car menu, your phone and all that kind of stuff. The bottom third is permanent buttons for your climate control basically, with 2 physical dials for your temperature and a physical volume dial. So it's a very nice mix where all the things that you want to use on an analog way, the things you want to press like your cruise control, your systems control, your wipers, your windows, all those things you want to do with an actual switch, because it requires less attention, less concentration, and it's only one action and you know that the action has taken place. So all those things are analog. And then the things you want to spend a bit more time with, the infotainment settings, the setup of the car, your phone, your navigation, all that is digital with all the benefits that it brings. So it is a great mix. I really, really like what Toyota has done here. The other thing that is worth noting and actually worth complimenting for is the lack of piano black in here. There is none. I am always complaining about the piano black in every single video basically. There is no piano black in here. Perhaps you could call the frame around the screen piano black, but not really. There's nothing here that you touch that is fingerprint magnet piano black. So that is fantastic. Instead they've used a sort of gunmetal gray, especially here on the center console. It's still hard plastic, but it is much nicer material to work with, doesn't reflect so much, doesn't attract dust as much, and especially doesn't attract fingerprints as much. So that is great. Now sitting here, I'm looking ahead through the window obviously, but slightly below my line of vision is the driver's display. It is a unit with a display in the middle. The display is only this big, and then 2 clusters on the side for all your warning lights. So it's now displaying that I'm not wearing a seatbelt, that it's ready to go, and that the parking brake is on. So all those lights are on the sides and not part of the actual screen, but it is all in the same housing. By doing it this way, they don't need a head-up display because it is slightly below your line of sight and you're supposed to look over the steering wheel to see what is on the display, a bit like Peugeot does with its iCockpit. And that is a way to work that is probably a bit cheaper because you don't have to make that head-up option, and it allows for a bit more freedom over here in terms of what you do with the design. So that is something you can be really angry about or something that you quite like. I think it's okay, it's easy to work with and easy to get familiar with, and it's nice to have all your information there at all times. The steering wheel itself is very pleasant to work with as well because, like I said, all those buttons here on the left and right side of the airbag are the ones you want to interact with most of the time while driving, and it's pleasant that you can actually touch and press something and know that your action has been done. Point of attention for the display is that it can be a little bit busy. You can of course configure a little bit what you want to see on there, but there's quite a lot of icons on there. If I'm looking at it right now, there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 or 9 icons already on there. That my traffic sign recognition is off, my cruise control settings are on there, my lane departure is turned off. So all those things are permanently there, which is a bit much because the screen is only that size. And it also sort of moves around every once in a while when you're not expecting it showing you something that you're like, I wasn't really asking for my trip information, for example. So that takes a bit of getting used to, and it is a bit busy for my taste. The screen in the middle is not busy at all. It's actually quite a simple system. It's not as deep as a Tesla system, for example, or a Chinese system. So there's no Netflix on here, none of that nonsense. It is just car focused and it's fast enough. It works fine. It's Toyota's modern system, and also things like your driver aids. It's one touch and you can turn it off. No more fiddling around on your steering wheel. So that is great. And it, like I said, it works really nice that you have the top 2/3 with all your stuff that you want to do with the car, navigation, settings, phone, and so on. And then the bottom third with your climate controls permanently there. Manual ventilation, 2 charging pads is the center console, and then your drive selector and physical buttons for your. Then we have the drive selector and a bunch of buttons for snow mode, eco mode, traction control, parking and auto hold in that sort of gunmetal plastic, which is still hard plastic, but a much better plastic. That's where the center console ends, and then 2 cup holders in the middle between that and the armrest that can open sideways in 2 directions. And that is your cockpit. Something that I noted right away when I set off this morning was the giant inner mirror. It's this big, it's really big, paired with a big rear window. A lot of cars have these like flat sloping rear windows that give you sort of a letterbox to see through. Not the case here. Big window, upright, and a big mirror to see through. So excellent vision rearwards. Also, the side mirrors are quite large. I haven't measured them or anything, but they feel proportionally big, which is nice because it's not a huge vehicle with 4.50 meters and a bit. And it's easy to maneuver around because of the size, but also because I can see out really well. So that is excellent. Everything in here is gray, so that is the choice that you get, including the seats, the cockpit, the dashboard and everything else. The seats are fine, they're fabric in this version, nothing too crazy. I have electric lumbar support, which is nice, that you can adjust that, but still 2 levers to adjust the angle and the seat base. They're okay, nothing too crazy. I sort of fit, I suppose, but I have the feeling that I sit on the seat a lot rather than in the seat. So take that for what it is. And all around there isn't really much to complain about. It's a Toyota interior, so it works well. Ergonomically it's sound and it's very well put together. Nothing rattles, nothing is shaking, nothing is moving or vibrating. The loudest noise in here, it's a quiet car, but the loudest noise in here that I've had today was the ventilation when I turned it up full blast. Obviously a little bit of driving in this Toyota CHR Plus as well, which is interesting because we are in Portugal and Toyota has a bunch of very exciting routes for us to drive, which is great. Not very representative though, because in real life we're just standing in traffic. But it does give us the opportunity to really test the car, which is quite nice, because Toyota made quite the point yesterday during the press briefing that this is a car with an emotional connection, very good drivability and a passion for driving and all those kind of terminology. Which is slightly questionable because, you know, in real life that doesn't really mean much, but it does mean that Toyota is confident that this car is indeed fun to drive. So if you bring those 2 things together here in Portugal, we can actually give that a go, especially given the fact that we are currently in the all-wheel drive version with more than 300 horsepower, 4-wheel drive, and things like a recalibrated power steering system, better suspension and all those things compared to the BZ4X, for example. So that should give us a bit of an impression if this car is indeed as fun to drive as Toyota claims it is. The short answer is yes, sort of. It is definitely a different beast than the BZ4X that I happened to drive last week. You can tell, you know, they tell you obviously that it's lower center of gravity, that the suspension is different and all those things. And you can tell it's very much a different animal, which is good because that does give you sort of a bit of a differentiation factor besides the fact that the BZ4 is just a little bit bigger. Now, I don't think that you're going to buy this car as your mountain road attack vehicle or anything, because it's an electric car, so it's a little bit clinical. It's a 2-ton crossover SUV. So yeah, it's not a sports car by any means, but you can feel really that it is a smaller vehicle and that the driving dynamics are sorted properly. So that's good. It gives you confidence to drive it at a bit of pace, but by no means, you know, you're going to drive this at maximum attack. It is also quite nice to see that in general the car is very usable and placeable. It's not a large car with a bit over 4.50 meters, so that makes it nice on, let's say, more challenging roads, but also nice in and around town. We had a few smaller cities earlier where it's just easy to place the car and put it exactly where you want. So that's nice. And if you combine that with the Toyota quality, the Toyota reliability, the all-round excellent cabin in here, it just makes a strong proposition for this category of vehicle. There's also plenty of space in the back, you know, nothing to really write home about, but enough to transport you, yourself, your children, and really anything that you want back there without much issue. There is a lot to choose in terms of what you want to get from this car in particular. So you can get this all-wheel drive performance version. There is a front-wheel drive version with the big battery as well. And there is a more price-conscious version, so to speak, with the small battery and front-wheel drive, which is of course a bit cheaper. Obviously, you want to know about the pricing for this Toyota CHR Plus. I got the price list here from Toyota directly. There's 3 options, so that's quite simple. We start with the Dynamic Limited Edition, and you get the small battery pack, 58 kilowatt hours, giving you a WLTP range of 458 kilometers, and that will set you back 38,000 euros in the Netherlands. So that's the starting pack. Then we move on to the first edition with the big battery, 77 kilowatt hours, for a WLTP of 607 kilometers. That's the highest in the range. That will set you back 5,000 euro more for 43 starting price. Then the all-wheel drive, same 77 kilowatt hour battery, but a lot less range, 100 kilometers less, 507 WLTP kilometers, and that will set you back 51,000 euros. So I think that's a strong proposition from Toyota, and if you position it against its competitors from Kia and Skoda and Hyundai, it is a nice proposition in general, because Toyota also offers a lot after you buy this car. There's a charging service, there is driving coaching, there is a whole ecosystem with partnerships with Vattenfall where they can guarantee optimal pricing, even cashbacks when you charge at home with your solar panels. So that's very interesting that Toyota is also looking at those things. And that's even before we start looking at things like the 1,000,000-kilometer warranty and the fact that they guarantee 70% of battery health after 10 years. Those things are really strong, and that also makes a very strong case for this car as a second-hand car once that market opens up for this vehicle. So yeah, all around it's a good first impression of this car. It's quite nice to see that Toyota is working hard to expand its lineup to offer basically a hybrid and an electric version in every category of vehicle. And it's good. It's interesting to see that a company as big as Toyota is working on its strategy that way, making sure there's a lot to choose. You could argue within the family line that this car is slightly blurred in terms of its positioning. If you look at the offerings in the Corolla Cross, for example, the BZ4X, the BZ4X Touring, those cars are very comparable to this car price-wise, space-wise, feature-wise. So yeah, you could argue that it is a bit complicated maybe to choose something from that Toyota lineup. But on the other hand, more choice is always more interesting, of course. And that's all I got for you in this video. Thanks for watching. It was a good, fun first impression of this vehicle, but of course we're going to drive it at home as well to see how it fares in the real world with underground parking and some kids' birthday parties thrown at it. For now though, thank you very much for watching. Give it a thumbs up if you like this video. Sub to the channel is always appreciated, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Cheers!